Hey everybody, it's Monday. You guys know what that means. Holy shit. We were just...
Man, I just hiccuped.
Yeah, I heard that. That sounded
I just
like...
hiccuped out of the fucking blue.
Well, hopefully you don't do it the whole fucking thing.
I gotta drink this and it'll stop that.
Tamp that shit down with alcohol.
Yeah.
That's how you go. Yeah,
right.
We were just... Because we were like a couple seconds late starting because Tom hadn't signed in because he was too busy like popping his dick out.
Yeah, well.
As you do. Well, we were making jokes about, I don't know how we got on the subject, but we were making jokes about...
the neighbors.
It's about the neighbors like watching us through binoculars.
Yeah.
And then he said, you know, when I went out to get the mail the other night, like this woman stopped by and asked about Beijing, like, oh, I see this cat in your backyard. You know,
she was in her car. I couldn't see in there. It was too dark.
And I was like, what are you doing looking in our backyard, bitch? Because the houses are pretty far apart. You would need binoculars to see anything.
She was acting like she wanted to hang out.
I know, man.
Yeah.
He couldn't see her though. He said it was.
I couldn't see who it was. Couldn't see.
Because it's wintertime. It gets dark early now. But hey, everybody. CB saying, Tom and Jenny, did you enjoy your night out Friday night? And I hope Tom behaved himself. He did, as far as I remember.
Yeah.
It was a good night. It wasn't quite as crowded as it would have been because normally they have that night on Saturday, but they couldn't have it on Saturday because of a private event. So it was Friday. So some of the regulars weren't there, but it was like still pretty fun. Like we danced a lot. My feet were tired. All that kind of stuff. I didn't get too drunk, so that was nice.
Yeah.
So this movie, okay, so I had been hearing a lot of people talking about this one. I remember when we were like months and months ago when we went to the theater and we kept seeing the trailer for this, and I was like, that looks pretty entertaining. And then I kind of forgot about it. But then it turned up on Amazon Prime. So like last night, the first movie I watched, which is also free on Amazon Prime, was Black Friday, because I found that movie when I was doing research about Thanksgiving horror movies, which technically this was a Black Friday one, but it kind of mentioned Thanksgiving too. And it had Bruce Campbell in it. And so I was just kind of like, okay, well, I got to watch that because they had that on free for Amazon too. That was like from 2021. And so I watched that and it's pretty good, but I didn't love it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, I guess we could kind of review that one. But I'm going to watch Abigail because I've been wanting to see this. And if that's good, then we'll review that one. And I am happy to report that this was a hell of a lot of fun. I really, really dug this. It was really good. It's very straightforward. Funnily enough,
it looked pretty good, but I kept falling asleep during it.
Yeah, Tom kept
I was tired.
Dozing off. He was tired.
Yeah.
But not because the movie was boring.
No,
he was just tired.
Yeah.
But funnily enough, when I was watching it, like afterward, I was like, wow, this movie reminds me so much of Ready or Not from 2019. Duh, it's the same fucking directors, which is why it reminded me of that. The directors, it's actually a filmmaking collective. It's like a bunch of dudes that are known by the name Radio Silence. But yeah, they did Ready or Not, which I absolutely loved. We reviewed that a long time ago when it was still in the theater. And this is the same directors, and it has like a similar vibe to it. It's definitely a comedy, but it's not like a zany comedy, but like some of the shit, it's like definitely over the top, like especially the gore and stuff like that. I think the gore was the funniest shit to me, at least. But yeah, I've seen. Okay, so there was like a lot of kind of not arguments, but like discussion on different horror channels, with some people saying, would this movie have been better if the trailer did not reveal, spoiler alert, that the little girl is a vampire?
Yeah, the trailer reveals that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I'm kind of thinking that, yeah, it might have been better. But here's the thing.
That's the gag of this movie.
That's kind of the whole gag or the twist in the movie, which, like I said, it's not a twist now because they say that in the... Like, weirdly, though, like, on the Amazon description of it, it doesn't say that she's a vampire. It says, that they kidnap a little girl, but she's not an ordinary girl or something like that. Like, that's all it says in the thing. But the trailer very clearly shows that she's a vampire.
That is a decent tease for a child vampire movie. That'd be great. Yeah. Yeah. Because that's a good hook.
And I think maybe
because you never seen that.
Yeah.
Except with from Interview with the Vampire. What was her name? Claudia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can kind of see like where the marketing department was on this, because they're kind of like, on the one hand, you kind of want it to be a surprise. You know what I mean? That they find out, the little girl's a vampire.
Marketing's a weird thing.
But then on the other hand, they're like, vampire, like little girl ballerina vampire. That's so good. It's like we have to sell it like that. Yeah. So I can see where you were kind of, but I can also see how this might have been better watching it, because I already knew the little girl was a vampire, so it's like there wasn't any suspense in that regard. So you were just waiting for her to like vamp out and like fuck everyone up, which she does. But I don't know. Maybe it would have been better, because I kind of saw a couple reviewers said, "Man, I wish they hadn't spoiled that she was a vampire." Like in the
it wouldn't have sold as many copies.
But like I said, I can kind of see where the marketing department was coming from too.
Yeah, because there's been movies that had fucking awesome twists, but you couldn't tell by any of the trailers, and it didn't attract a big audience. And the movie was great, but it didn't attract a big audience. Yeah. You know what I mean? Fucking like people went to see The Sixth Sense because they knew that fucking the little boy could see ghosts. They had a hidden twist though.
Right.
And that was that the psychologist was a ghost.
Yeah. Spoiler alert for a very old movie. But yeah, so I can see where
they could have put another twist in there, but they didn't.
Let's not get crazy.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Well, okay. Now the thing about this, which I was not aware of before I watched it, was that you know how Universal, like a long time ago, was trying to do that dark universe thing, which we've talked about like a few times. We talked about when we reviewed The Mummy with Tom Cruise from 2017 and all that. And then eventually they decided, fuck that, we're scrapping the whole shared universe idea, because they were trying to do like Marvel Universe, but with Universal Monsters, which is a rad idea, but they just couldn't get it to work. And so then they decided, well, we still kind of want to do that, but what we're going to do now is just give it to filmmakers to make their own spins on classic Universal monsters. So you got Invisible Man, like with Elizabeth Moss, which was great, which was like a complete updating of the story, and it's like they just did their own thing with it, which was awesome. What I didn't realize was that this movie started out as a remake of Dracula's Daughter from 1936.
Huh. Okay.
And so it's kind of like, yeah, we did.
It's pretty good.
We reviewed it.
It's pretty good from what I remember.
Yeah. So initially, I think the initial idea, because she does have a dad who's a vampire, who's kind of like a crime lord. I think the initial idea was that he was going to be Dracula, or that he had killed Dracula. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that she was like the daughter. So I kind of see where they were going with that, but Dracula's Daughter, like the 1936 original, I mean, she wasn't a kid. She was like a grown woman.
Yeah, it had big lesbian fucking undertones in the movie.
Yeah, we reviewed it. Like, because remember, we went like on a Universal, like classic Universal monster.
So did the original Cat People. Retro lesbian movies.
Yeah, big time. Yeah. So, yeah, they had a lot of that stuff going on in the movies back then. They just couldn't, like, overtly.
Yeah, but you knew what it was.
But well, and especially audiences now are like, well, duh. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Back then, you maybe had some plausible deniability.
Back then, you'd have to be cool to understand that.
Yeah, I think. But, yeah. So the premise of this, which, like I said, it's a very simple premise, but honestly, for a horror movie like this, which is kind of like a gory action comedy horror, I think it's best that you keep the premise simple, which they do, and it's kind of all in one location. But like I said, kind of like Ready or Not, which was the same directors, it's all set in this house. It was shot in Ireland, I think, in this one big manor house. Pretty much the whole thing happens in there, except the very beginning.
Yeah, high desert, it's good.
Yeah, it's really good. It's actually, what I've heard, I kind of wish I'd gone to see this in the theater, because everybody says, like, in seeing it in the theater, like, with a crowd is, like, a blast, you know what I mean? Because everybody's, like, reacting to all the over-the-top gore gags and stuff like that, and I could totally see how this would be super fun, like, watching it with a crowd. Like, a lot more fun than watching it by yourself, but, you know, I didn't get to do that, so, oh well, that's my own fault. But so the premise of this is that at the very beginning, you have this gang of criminals, and they're on a job. Now, they don't know each other. I don't think any of them knew each other previously, like maybe by reputation, but that's about it. They don't know each other's names or anything like that. So they've been assembled for this job. They're not entirely sure what it is. All they know is it's just kidnapping a person, like a wealthy person, for ransom. That's all they're doing. So, there's a driver guy, like there's a hacker girl, the muscle guy, a guy who used to be a cop, you find out later. So it's like there's a whole, and then like the main girl, she's kind of like, what is her job exactly? I'm not really sure what her job is on the crew.
I don't know. You got to remember, guys, I was in and out of this, man. Fucking sleeping and waking back up. It was a good movie, but I was just so fucking tired when she was watching it. And we were on a deadline. We had to get it watched Sunday.
Yeah.
I was pretty fucked up. Yeah, but I was enjoying it from what I saw. You could tell it was quality. Like, from what I was seeing. I was like, oh, yeah, this is a pretty good movie.
All the acting in this is so good. And honestly, like, all of the actors, because for a while, until the vamp action happens, you're kind of like just with these characters, because what happens is they go and kidnap, like I said, they're all put together for this job because their reputations they came recommended or whatever, so they're all in this job. They don't really know each other, so they break into this big mansion and go to kidnap the person. Now, initially, the main character, I guess she's just called Joey. You don't find out what her real name is because nobody has real names. Everybody has pseudonyms, much like, Reservoir Dogs or something. And she's like, as soon as she finds out it's a kid, she's like, oh, fuck this. You know what I mean? I don't want, because she's got a kid of her own. You find out later, and it's like this whole thing. So she's like, I don't want any part of this anymore. And they're like, hey, man, this is going to be like, I think the ransom is supposed to be going to like $50 million, like split between the 5 or 6 of them, whatever it is. So she's like, okay, fine, whatever. We're not going to hurt her. We're just going to get her the ransom and blah, blah, blah. So they pick her up, and then they are supposed to meet at this prearranged place. They don't know where it is. It's just GPS. So they show up at this very isolated, creepy mansion. And then the dude that put the whole thing together, whose name is Lambert, he's like, okay, all you motherfuckers have to do, put the girl in a room, don't hurt her, nothing like that. You just have to babysit her in this creepy, isolated mansion for like 24 hours while I go and sort out, the ransom with her dad, which is going to be $50 million. Y'all will all be rich. You can go home. Bob's your uncle. You know what I mean? So they all get in this house, and they're all kind of like interacting with one another. And none of them know who the dad of the girl is. And like a lot of they don't really want to know. They're not really supposed to have any information about each other. They have to give up their cell phones. It's this whole thing. Like I said, it's kind of a similar setup to Ready or Not, I guess, where they're all trapped in this house and they don't have any way of getting out or like communicating with the outside world. So the one woman, Joey, she's the only one. They're all named after members of the Rat Pack, by the way. That's like the names that they gave them. So she goes up there, and she's like the only one that's sympathetic to this little girl. Now, at first, this little girl, Abigail, obviously, is terrified, and she's like, what's going on? I don't really know, and all this other stuff. It's like, we're not going to hurt you. It's like, we just want money and all this other kind of crap, and I'm going to make sure nothing bad happens to you. And then, like, the first or second time she goes into the talk to this little girl, who seems like all cute and innocent and everything. She's like this little ballet dancer. She's in her little outfit. And then she just basically says, hey, she's like, I feel really bad for what's about to happen to you guys. And, like, the way she says it, like, the woman is a little unsettled by this information. And so she goes in and she talks to, like, one of the leader guys, whose name is Frank. And he's kind of the one that was the ex-cop. And so he's like, we have to find out whose kid we kidnapped. You know what I mean? He's like, we really need to know. If she said some weird shit like that. So they find out that this girl's dad is like some really, really scary crime boss who all of them are terrified of. And they're just like, fuck this. We don't want any part of this job. But then it turns out that they can't get out of the house. Like, everything locks down. You know what I mean? And they can't find any way out. And then as time goes on, they each get picked off one by one. At first, they start to suspect that this crime boss's legendarily scary enforcer, whose name is Valdez, has gotten into the house somehow and is picking them off. But it turns out, and like I said, this isn't really a spoiler because they say in the trailer that the little girl is a vampire, and it's implied that she is actually her dad's enforcer, like of the crime syndicate, and can tear people's heads off and whatnot, which she does in this movie. So after they figure this out, You know, it kind of becomes this sort of cat and mouse where they're trying to like figure out how to fuck, because a lot of the regular vampire stuff doesn't really work. Like crosses, you can shoot her, it doesn't really do anything. She grows limbs back, shit like that. She can heal like really quick. I think sunlight still works and a couple other things, but like most vampire shit doesn't work. And I have to say that it's just, I don't know. I thought this was so fun because like all of the criminal characters, I mean, they're all criminals, so you can kind of think, they're shitty people, but you do kind of feel bad for them, especially when they start getting, when the vampire starts fucking them up. And the little girl that's in this, I think she's best known, she did, I think it was Matilda, like the musical, I think it's on Netflix or something like that, and I think that was her big breakout role. She is great in this. I mean, and I don't usually like child actors, but she's so good at like, because at first you're just like, here's this innocent little girl that just got kidnapped after her ballet practice, and she's like, what's going on? And she's like all scared, and she's like really good at that. But then when she vamps out, she is absolutely amazing. And she apparently did all of her own stunts, which is really impressive because there's like a lot of tumbling and all kind of crazy shit in this, like flying around and all that kind of shit. And like I said, the gore in this is like super, super over the top. In the sense of when a vampire gets staked, they literally just explode into like gobbets of blood and flesh everywhere. It's pretty glorious. But yeah, I mean, I can see why a lot of people have picked this as one of their favorite horror movies of the year. Like I said, it's not doing anything super complicated. It's basically like, you know, a bunch of criminals kidnap a little girl that's a vampire, and then she starts tearing their shit up. Like, in super violent and bloody ways. There's no big twist. There's nothing complicated. It's just very, very simple, and it's just very, very satisfying and just very fun. I kind of feel like this is what... Because we also saw... I don't think we reviewed it. But we also watched that killer spider movie, Sting. You remember that?
Yeah.
Which I liked.
That's pretty good.
But I feel like it wasn't quite as fun as this one. Like I wanted it to be like more fun. I wanted it to be more like this one.
Yeah.
But this one, like I said, it's just fun. It's just gleeful.
I'm getting Sting mixed up with a giant ass spider or big ass spider.
Yeah, big ass spider. We saw that a long time ago.
Yeah, I think it was big ass spider.
Sting we just saw like probably 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay, yeah. Now, okay. Remind me what happened in that one.
That was the one where the little girl.
Yeah.
She was really into spiders, and she got a little spider as a pet.
And it got bigger.
And then it just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was a good movie.
It was pretty good. It missed a mark, like you said, though. It did miss marks sometimes.
Yeah, it was just good. Whereas I feel like this one is kind of flirting with greatness because it's just... I think I slightly preferred Ready or Not, like I said, which is the same directors. But this is in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's only just slightly below. And
I had to see it again. We had to see it again so I can watch it.
Yeah, because you actually kind of dozed off a few times and you missed like a lot of really funny...
Yeah. On a side note, we saw Alien Romulus again, and it was better on second viewing than it was on first viewing. I liked it. Real good movie. I'm plugging that too. See Alien Romulus.
It definitely held up.
Yeah, it held up on repeat viewings. I was like, okay, yeah, it was actually better. It was tighter. Yeah. Seeing it on the second viewing of it.
Phantom says, what's Ready or Not about? Okay, so that one is Samara Weaving is in it. I love her. And she marries a guy from a super wealthy family, and they go to their family's estate, like for the wedding. And it turns out it's kind of a game style horror in the sense that, you know, we're going to play, like, they basically start hunting each other, like in this huge mansion. And it's really gory, and it's super, super fun. I think this one is maybe slightly more gory, but it's along the same lines. Like I said, you have all of these people trapped in this huge mansion, like this old school creepy mansion, and with something hunting them or something stalking them. I think this one is slightly gorier, but Ready or Not is pretty gory too. And that one is also a lot of fun. But I think that's why, because it's just fun. It's funny that this movie, like I was thinking about it this morning, and I was like, man, that reminded me a lot of Ready or Not. And then like when I looked it up, I'm like, oh duh, it was the same directors. That's why it reminded me of that, the same writers and directors. So if you liked Ready or Not, I can't see that you wouldn't like this one, because you know, a similar vibe, I guess, even though it's a different story, but it's a similar vibe to it. And, you know, there's some great fucking... I don't know how much of the effects were practical. It seemed like most of them were. You get, like, beheadings and, like I said, like, hands and arms getting chopped off and people exploding and all kind of cool shit. And it's like, and it all looks really, really good. And all the acting is good. All the characters are interesting. Even though they're all kind of, I guess they're all kind of anti-heroes. Because, like I said, they're all kind of criminals. But they each have their own shit going on. They're not like generic, because you know how a lot of horror movies, especially ones that are like ensemble pieces like this, there's like, oh, there was that guy and then the other guy, and then they're all kind of like blend together.
Yeah.
But these characters all had their own, like, they were very distinctive. Okay. So they all kind of like stood out. Like Tom was laughing because the one guy that's in it, what is that fucking actor's name? I think his name is Kevin Durand. He's been in a ton of shit. But he, like, looks exactly like Elon Musk.
Yeah, I was like, that dude looks just like Elon Musk.
Yeah, he's been in a ton of shit, though.
And I was like, man...
I think he was on Lost, even.
If they were ever going to do an Elon Musk movie, that's who you fucking cast to play Elon Musk. He's even got the mannerisms down. He looked like fucking Elon Musk.
His character in this was so funny because he was, like, the muscle. He's, like, the enforcer, the guy that, like, the hitman and stuff. But he's, like, an idiot. Like, you know what I mean? So he's almost kind of like... I mean, he's, like, borderline... moron.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there's kind of like a lot of comedy to be mined from that. But he's still kind of sympathetic. You know what I mean? He's like a big lug type of character, but he's like super stupid.
He didn't come across as real muscular to me, but he was just like a mafia type of guy. He looked like Elon Musk to me.
His face totally. And I guess I've seen that actor before, but I guess I never really thought about him looking like Elon Musk. But
I was like, whoa, hold on, Musk.
Well, there was another dude. There was another dude in this too. His character's name was Don Rickles, but he was a big black dude that was like a former Marine, and he was a big muscly dude. Well, no, because like I said, the guy like Lambert that Giancarlo Esposito like played Lambert, and he's like, I love him. He's in a lot of stuff too. But he named them all. He gave them their pseudonyms like after members of the Rat Pack.
Okay, yeah, right.
So that's why one was Frank and Joey and
and
Don Rickles and all of that. So and Sammy, and then whatever the other one was, I can't remember. But Sammy was the girl's name. But yeah, so like I said, they all had their own like kind of distinctive characters, and they were kind of sympathetic. You learned kind of more about them like as the story went on, and as it turned out, I guess this is kind of a spoiler. It's not a spoiler that the girl's a vampire because they spoiled that in the trailer, but you also find out later like why these particular people were picked for this particular job. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I don't remember it. I must have been asleep.
Yeah, I don't think you saw that part. Yep. I don't think you saw that part. But yeah,
see it again.
This is totally worth watching. I was talking earlier, like a video that I'm probably going to put up tomorrow, because I reviewed a movie called Strange Darling, which I'd been wanting to see, and I'm probably going to put the video up tomorrow. But I mentioned in there that maybe, and like I said, don't hold me to this, but I might do, for my Scare Salon channel, I might do a 10 best movies of horror movies of 2024, which I don't usually do. I don't usually do year-end stuff, but so much good shit has come out this year that I'm just kind of like, holy crap. So, you know, this might or might not be on it, like, depending on, because I got a bunch more I gotta watch. I'm trying to watch a bunch more, like, in December of shit that's been recommended. But, you know, I gotta watch, I saw Strange Darling, I gotta watch Cuckoo, I gotta watch Azrael, I gotta watch a couple of other ones that I missed, so I can see where I want to rank everything. I still got to see Nosferatu, which doesn't come out till Christmas time, which I'm sure will probably be on the list. I'm anticipating that right now. But this actually, like, this might be on there. This might be on there. This was, like I said, it's not super complicated or anything, but it's just, like, a lot of fun. And I don't usually like vampire movies. Somebody said this kind of gave him a, like, From Dusk Till Dawn kind of vibe. Yeah, it's a little bit like that. Like, not quite as... I don't know. It's not quite the same vibe. Like I said, this is like Ready or Not, but with a vampire. You know what I mean? So if you liked Ready or Not, you would probably like this as well. Let's see. Phantom said the guy that played the cop was in the latest King Kong film. Yeah, that's right. He was in like a bunch of stuff. He was great. He was one of my favorite characters. Like the ex-cop dude. let's see. Is the Salem's Lot remake worth seeing?
It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. You know what I mean? I was kind of ambivalent about it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Check this out. I just looked it up how much Alien Romulus has made. As of November 10th, that's almost a month ago now.
Yeah, that's a while back.
It's grossed $350 million.
Wow.
Its budget was only $80 million, so yeah.
They made that for $80 million?
$80 million. Boy, you wouldn't know by looking at it, would you? That included all the fucking production.
Like $80 million. That's like more money than I'll ever do in my entire lifetime. But
that's an efficient production, man.
But yeah, that's not much for a Hollywood movie.
And it looks really good.
Caliber.
So yeah, there'll be another movie if that's what that did. I want to see the other one.
Yeah, they're already planning on.
They're already planning on the other one. So yeah, and it's still making money. I paid $20 to see it, and I didn't feel like I was robbed. If you like Alien and fucking...
Well, we've already watched it twice.
Yeah, well, they watched it twice. If you've seen Alien and fucking... If you like Alien and fucking the Prometheus stuff, you know what I mean? Not so much Alien 3 and 4, which I don't, then you'll like it. It all ties it in. It's real good. And I almost didn't want to watch it. Because I heard fucking online, oh, it sucked. The guys on Nerd Erotic were kind of blasting on it. Now I know better. I know better. I'm not going to believe them guys.
Well, I don't really
believe... They just shit on too much.
I don't really believe anybody.
You got to see it yourself.
Well, especially nowadays, because I feel like most of the dudes that I watch... Well, no, they're not just dudes. It's like dudes and chicks that I watch, like the horror people. They tend to be more diplomatic, and they actually kind of talk about... They actually love horror, and they talk about why... And if they didn't like something, they explain it. They don't just reflexively shit on stuff. Yeah. I kind of feel like a lot of people do that... Because for whatever reason, negativity gets more clicks than positivity.
Because they were shitting on fucking Furiosa.
Now, and that was great.
It was a great movie. Yeah,
I loved Furiosa.
Now, they were shitting on it because it didn't have Mad Max in it. Which actually, he does do a cameo in it. And they were just saying there's too many, it's just, it's too much like the other one. Or they were just coming up with excuses to shit on that movie. And it didn't do well at all at the box office. That was a great flick, though. And it's too bad because we won't get another one. Not after that.
Yeah, that's a bummer. Like I said, it's just kind of... I know that it's... For whatever reason, like I said, some people just love people shitting on things. Yeah. I don't really like that. And I said, I'm not saying that you have to like everything. Because, and the stupid thing, too, is I kind of feel like there's a caveat to that. Well, not a caveat, but like a codicil, whatever it is. Yeah. That... Because you're considered much cooler if you shit on everything and be cynical about everything, that if you do actually genuinely like something, then everybody thinks you're a shill. Yeah. Which is super stupid. Because it's like, look, I see movies all the time that I don't necessarily care for. I'm not going to shit on anything just reflexively. If I don't like something, I'm going to tell you why I didn't like it. I'm not just going to reflexively shit on something because this person made it, or I don't like this, or you know what I mean. I'm going to say, well, I didn't like it because of this, this, and that. And I'm not saying that's like my opinion. It's like you might like it. I don't know.
The show that for me has been consistently called it correctly is Midnight's Edge, and that's got a couple guys working on it. And I think the main dude that runs it is from, I think it was Norway, where he's from. But it's all in English. And they'll do an entire analysis. They'll tell you why it was good if they liked it, and they'll tell you why they'll tell you why they didn't like it. You know what I mean? They'll say we didn't like it because it does this and that. And they also fucking really pick through what studios are doing, which that's great. You know what I mean? They'll go like, why is the studio going in this direction with this series because it didn't work on this platform? What makes them think? Because what are they doing? And look who the writer is. I mean, they go to all the details. So I recommend fucking Midnight's Edge. They always, pretty much, I'd go back and go, I would agree with pretty much everything they said about movies that I saw. Like, yeah. I even bought all those fucking Conan comic books on the backs of them. And so far, man, that Conan comic book's pretty fucking cool. It's right out of a fucking Howard's fucking Preservation Society stuff. And the art's really good. A lot of nudity and violence in it. It's good.
I mean, the thing about it, and when I do, like, my movie reviews and book reviews, I tend to try and analyze, I try to go in depth about stuff, like, about the plot. And if I liked something, I'll say why I liked it. If I didn't like it, I'll say why I didn't like it. And I try to be diplomatic about it. Like I said, I'm a creator, too, so it's just kind of like, I know how difficult it is to write a novel and get it published. I know how difficult it is to make a movie or get a movie made and shit like that. So I'm not just going to come out and go, that's stupid or whatever. It's like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people do like that kind of content, but I don't like that.
I'm not shitting on Nerd Erotic's channel. It's a great channel. It's very entertaining. It's funny as fuck. But they shit on everything.
Which, like, to me, that just gets really tiresome after a while.
Yeah, whenever they talk about something, you know. Now, sometimes they call it right. They do shit on shit that it sucks. But they'll shit on everything.
I mean, some things do just suck, okay?
Right, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I try to find... I'm not an optimist necessarily, but I do try to find something good to talk about with most things. I mean, unless it was just, like, completely offensive on every level, then I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
But
High Desert said the same thing. He says Nerd Erotic just tends to gripe about everything. It's too much griping.
Which, like I said, it's just it's just too whiny, and it's just I can't watch that kind of stuff. It's just exhausting, just being that negative about everything all the time. Like, I know that some people think that makes them cooler or something. I don't know what the fucking deal is, but you know, shitting on everything is not. I don't know. I'm not into it, but. You know, like I said, if I don't like something, I'm going to say. But I'm going to say why I don't like it. I'm just not going to shit on it reflexively. So, you know, I don't know. Like, I feel like Alien Romulus, it was weird because you had said something about, all these people are saying it sucks and everything like that. But then I was seeing it, like, low-key turning up on all these people's,
me too,
like, best horror lists. And I was like, well maybe it's all right.
I started to see the guys who are big into, like, the Prometheus lore and Alien lore started making videos. New videos would come in my feed, and they would start mentioning Romulus and the information that was put, you know, and then we'll find out that, listen, and I just saw clips of it and go, oh, no, I got to see this. That's a good one.
And like I said, I ended up liking it much more.
Yeah, it's the third best Alien movie. It's right after Alien 2 in terms of quality and the storytelling. It's like,
and that's, I mean, coming from me, I'm not like, I love the first two Alien movies, but it's like, I was kind of ambivalent about most of the other ones.
Yeah, but this one is up there with 1 and 2.
But yeah, I really liked this one. But the thing about it is that, I don't know, so this movie here, Abigail, I had been hearing a lot of good shit about it, which is what made me want to see it. The trailer made me want to see it because I said, that looks funny and just entertaining. You know what I mean? And it was, like, super entertaining. Whether it'll turn up on my best 10 of the year, I don't know. It might. I mean, it's a possibility. It was really good. It was, like, super, super fun. Like I said, if you just like gory, horror, comedy, action kind of shit, then you should be totally into this because it was super fun. And like I said, all the characters were good, and it was just really interesting, which is good because it probably takes about, I want to say like 30-40 minutes before the vamping out happens. You know what I mean? So it's like, so you're kind of with these criminal characters interacting with each other in this house for a while. So it's good that all the characters are interesting because the real bloodbath doesn't happen until like later on. But I thought it was like really, really well done. So, you know, make of that what you will. But, you know, like I said, I'm going to put up a review tomorrow because it's already done. And I'm just going to post it tomorrow of Strange Darling, the horror thriller, which actually technically came out in 2023, but it didn't get a theatrical release until 2024, so I'm counting it as a 2024 movie. And, you know, spoiler, I actually really, really liked it. It's slightly divisive, I feel, but I was pretty into it. So I'm going to put up a review of that. And then we'll see what else turns up on my list. Like I said, I got a list of other stuff I got to watch before the end of the year so I can see what my rankings are going to be. Hopefully I have a chance to do this video. I really want to do it. Also, for the Wednesday night show, we are going to do a topic I've been wanting to do for a very, very long time. Ever since, I think it was Zach sent me this book right here, which talks about a fucking mass murder that I did not know about. And this is concerning very, very famous architect, Frank Lloyd Wright, and a mass murder at one of his iconic houses. So we're going to talk about that on Wednesday night show, and it's a crazy fucking story. And I feel like a lot of people, like I said, I took art history, dude, and I knew a lot about Frank Lloyd Wright because they go a lot into it. He's very, very influential, and so they go a lot into it in art history. But they don't talk much about the mass murder that happened in the house. Or all of the scandals that he was involved in, too, which is also pretty fun. I was watching a video about him earlier, and somebody in the comments on YouTube said, man was a drama magnet.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, big time. So this should be a totally fun show. Totally fun show. But yeah, that's what won in the poll, and I'm so glad, because I've been wanting to do a show on that forever. I think I read this book like 2 years ago, and I've been wanting to do a show about that since then. I think Zach sent it to me, but I'm not sure. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought it was Zach that sent it to me, because I had never heard about it. Happened in Wisconsin back in the early 20th century. So yeah, what else is going on in the comments before we wrap it up? Oh, they're talking about they want to see a Species remake or a Species series. That would probably make a good series, honestly. You could do a lot of shit with that Species. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's a good premise.
Yeah, and it has a fucking Giger-esque fucking vibe to it. He worked on that movie. So
yeah, he designed the...
So you could make something kind of like Alien out of that on the Earth in the 20th century, 21st century maybe. Probably work. And
you could make it like kind of smutty.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Or kind of erotic if you wanted to go that direction.
And if it had a bigger budget, then you could see the female fully transformed. A lot of scenes with her running around doing stuff.
Yeah.
But you don't really see that. You see flashes of it like we're in the water and shit. But
I kind of like I said, people piss and moan, but I like the entertainment landscape now because it kind of seems like premises that need series can get a series.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can do so much more with that.
Yeah.
You don't have to cram it all like into a 90-minute movie, which is really good. So, I mean, there's just so much good shit out there. Oh, I forgot to mention too. One of the actors that was in this movie, the guy that played the kind of druggy driver guy, the actor's name is Angus Cloud. I saw like in memory of at the end of the credits. And so I looked him up, and he actually died. He was 25. He died of a drug overdose. And he was only in like maybe 5 movies, and I'm like, man, that sucks. And spoiler alert, he's the first dude to get it in this movie too. He gets killed. Like he's the first one to get killed. But yeah, I thought that was kind of a bummer because he probably would have gone places, and I guess he never did because he was only 25 years old. But yeah, so I thought I would bring that up. But like I said, there's a lot of really good actors in this. Everybody in this is good. It's super fun. And and like I said, I'm not even a huge fan of vampire movies, but I just thought this was like really fun. Let me see. Who else? Friday Werewolves comes out. Yeah, we might go see that.
Yeah.
Phantom says, well, at least he's immortalized now. Yeah, like I said, he's in the movie he's the first one to get killed, so he's in it for maybe like 40 minutes, and then he gets it, but that's okay. He's a memorable character, that's for sure.
You know what they need to make a series of?
What's that?
Conan.
Well, yeah.
And fucking, they got a kid, if he can act, which I'm hoping that he could, who would fucking be perfect for fucking Conan. Arnold Schwarzenegger's half Mexican son. You see, Howard fucking described Conan as big, square-jawed, black hair, brown skin, blue eyes. Well, he's talking about, and Howard was from fucking Texas. He's talking about a Texican, which is like a Germanic Texas breed together. Well, that's fucking, that's, I think his name is Padilla. Jose Padilla, I think is what his name is, which is Arnold's son. He's kind of not really a legit son, and he's half Mexican, and he's fucking a bodybuilder. He's natural. He's not on any steroids, so he says. And I kind of believe it. He's got good genetics, and he looks fucking great. And he looks actually closer to fucking Conan than what his dad did when his dad played the role. Conan was never described as being super muscle bound. He was just big and fucking strong. And I think his name is Joseph. I think it was Joseph Padilla, I think is what his name is. Kind of the spitting image of, imagine if Arnold Schwarzenegger was Mexican, that's fucking what you got. And he looks great. He would be great in a series like that. And the fucking fans would eat it up, as long as the writing was fucking tight and fucking right there with the Howard stories. He could do it. And I don't even think he's 22 yet, which that's perfect.
CB said it could be He-Man in the style of Game of Thrones. See, now that would be fantastic if they did it like Game of Thrones. You know? I just feel like there's
He-Man was the Conan ripoff, though.
Well, I know that,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying it would just be kind of like.
I'd go for Conan, and have fucking writing that matched the original.
Oh, I'm
book.
sure it'll happen at some point. They're doing series of everything. We just saw a couple nights ago that they just put up the back half of Cobra Kai season 6. So we were gonna watch it over the weekend, but like I wasn't really in the mood for it yet. But I might watch it, like, you know. Yeah. What did we end up watching Saturday night? I think we watched like some old. Did we watch old shit? Yeah, I think we rewatched Forbidden World, that cheesy monster movie.
Yeah.
And then I don't remember what else we watched Saturday night.
We
didn't go out, but what are you doing?
That's the son.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
He's bigger now. Yeah,
he's a good-looking fella.
Yeah,
I had never seen him before.
Yeah, he would be a great Conan. He's bigger than that now. There he is.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna show you guys. I just gotta let the commercials go by.
Sandy Black showed up and said, "Hello, all. Hello.
Yeah.
How are you?"
That's Arnold's son. He'd be a great fucking Conan, and he's only like 20. But what's it? Baena. Yeah, that's his name. That was one of Arnold's. That was Arnold's fucking unofficial son. But I think he recognizes him, if I remember correctly.
Unofficial.
But he didn't. He didn't officially adopt him, I guess. It was a son he had with his maid after he broke up with Maria. But that is fucking what was being described. You give him the right hair, that could be Conan. And it would fucking tie right in with fucking the old Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. It'd be great. Just give him long black hair. Yeah.
Yeah, that would totally work.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that could be turned into series.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing about it is that there's so many streaming services and so many series now that for all I know, it already has been turned into a series and I just didn't know about it. I only just found out the other day that Anne Rice's Mayfair Witches had been made into a series. I didn't know about that either. I don't hear anybody talking about it, so I don't know if it's any good or not. I liked the books, not as much as the Vampire Chronicles, but I watched some of the new like Interview with the Vampire series, and that was like pretty good too. But I haven't, like I said, I haven't kept up with it. There's just so much shit I gotta watch. You know, I don't have time. No, Tammy said no. The reason they broke up was because he was messing with the maid.
Is that what it was? Okay.
Well, that makes more sense,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Because they were married a long time, weren't they?
Yeah.
Banging the maid.
Yeah, chances are Chances are that fucking relationship was had been on the rocks for a long time though.
Classic.
Yeah, chances are.
Okay, Rianda says I'm watching Mayfair Witches. It's not as good as the Interview series. Yeah, I figured. I mean, I don't like the books as much but the Mayfair Witches books were good too. I haven't read them in a long time, but I read all of them back in the day. But yeah, he was banging the maid.
So his name was Joseph Baena. Is that what it was?
I think it was Baena.
Baena? Yeah. I thought it was Padilla, but I remember it was Joseph.
Yeah, I wonder who you were.
There's your next Conan. He looks the part,
or whoever's name.
Yeah, he's got the right dad. He looks exactly like what they're describing. They just got to give him the right hair. They don't even have to bulk him up that much. I mean, he's still pretty big. You know, not as big as Arnold, but that's not how he was described. He's almost too big in the movie. You know, Arnold, he wasn't really described as being fucking super fucking huge muscle bound. He was just a strong barbarian, you know. That he'd be great at that, as long as he could act. I'd just make sure to send him to acting school so he could act. He probably has talent.
Tammy says Stephen King's The Long Walk would make a good series. I agree. I just recently found out that Stephen King's The Outsider was made into a series, like 10, 12 episodes, and I still haven't watched that either. So, like I said. Camp Guy's talking about F. Murray Abraham. He was in Scarface too, great actor. Oh, he was in Amadeus, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. I love Amadeus. I've seen it probably.
You can watch that shit over and over again.
I've seen it probably.
I grew up watching that shit.
I've seen it probably like 40 times.
Yeah,
I love that.
We'd see it on. It'd always.
I love that fucking movie so much. I think I saw it in the theater. Did I see it in the theater?
What was funny is
Probably not. It was
the
84.
time,
I think I saw it a year or two later, though.
funny, when I saw it, I thought it was a good movie, but when I was a kid, I did not realize how fucking annoying Wolfgang Mozart was.
Yeah.
And
now,
I think they do say that he was pretty fucking annoying. But in the movie, he's just really annoying, and no one can really talk to him. He constantly fucking tries to sidestep shit. He was real intelligent in real life, but I think he had some kind of problem.
I will note that the movie Amadeus is based on a stage play.
Yeah,
which is sort of based on real life.
But not really.
But not exactly. Now, I read several years back. I've read a couple... I know this is going to sound weird, but I've read a couple biographies of Mozart. Why have you done that? I just read everything. You know what I mean? And I'm interested in that. I'm interested in music history. Now, there is one... I can't remember who wrote it, but it's a great fucking book. And it's kind of considered like the definitive biography of Mozart. And he like kind of addresses that movie, like, and the stage play. And he's like, while some of the stuff that they put in the movie is true, like he was kind of, his humor was kind of lowbrow.
Yeah, real
like
nasty,
and like because they have like some of his letters and stuff like that, and he was kind of filthy mouthed and stuff, but not like more in a fun way, you know what I mean? But he's not quite as bad as he's shown. Okay. And the thing about it is that the whole rivalry between Mozart and Salieri, that was way exaggerated. Yeah, it's like they didn't really have a rival. They actually worked together. On a number of things.
I had read stuff about Mozart, and they talked about what he was like, though, and I remember the movie being pretty much accurate description of the way he was. They said some people just couldn't stand to be around him. They just you'd have this fucking big idea of who this man was built up in your mind. You meet him, and you're like, this is him.
Yeah,
it's this dude. This is fucking Mozart. This fucking piece of shit here, and he was kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah, not as much as in the movie, but they were kind of like playing that up. One thing too that the book about him brought up, which I thought was really interesting because you never hear about this, is that Mozart's sister
was just as good as he was.
Yeah. Because their father, whose name I think was Leopold, trained both of them.
Yeah.
And his sister, who they called her, I can't remember what her actual name was, but they called her Nannerl. And she was like also a musical prodigy, but woman. So as soon as she was old enough, they just married her off, and that was like she didn't get to go anywhere with it.
A respectable woman from a good family, did not work. You were married, so there was no future for her in music. Although she probably wrote shit at the house and continued.
She did, and she used to tour with them, lessons, like when they were kids, because that was kind of the big thing because they were both child prodigies.
Yeah.
And so he would, like, Leopold would take them on tour and stuff.
There's a misunderstanding with a lot of modern people. They think that women in the older eras didn't work. No, they worked. Actually, they worked harder than men. They had them doing more menial labor and fucking horrible tasks. They all worked. Unless you were rich. And rich girls didn't work. They were married off.
Yeah, I kind of feel like rich people were the only people that didn't work.
Yeah.
Which is still kind of...
Yeah, rich girls actually had a lot less rights than poor girls. Poor girls could fucking turn tricks and nobody care. They could fucking go anywhere they wanted to. They could fucking hike up a skirt and piss in the middle of a fucking alley after they drinking a bunch of beer, and nobody gave a shit. Because they were poor. They didn't give a fuck about them. They only cared about rich women. That's really the way it was. Nobody else had any standards really used. The standards was survival. They were just trying to fucking survive. It was poor, especially in cities. Bad quality of life.
Yeah, Camp Guy said Tom Hulse played Mozart kind of like a genius/savant buffoon.
But he was.
Yeah. Which, like I said, I think the buffoon part was way over-exaggerated for the movie, but it made like a really good, entertaining play and later a movie. Because, like I said, I love that movie, but it's not super historic.
I don't think he would have stood out too much in the modern era. All right?
Probably
But in the era that he lived in, he was considered to be very annoying and uncouth and repellent. A lot of people said he was just repellent because they were very uptight back then, and he was a very fluid thinker. He was a rock star, basically.
Essentially, yeah. Yeah. Somebody said something about his dad. I think CB just said the dad being abusive toward the daughter. One thing the dad was was fairly accurate to what they showed in the movie. He was, I don't know if he was like abusive, but he was very, very stern, and he was just like a strict disciplinarian. And you could argue that it's abusive, like taking your little kids out to like make them perform like monkeys. In
that era, though, that was a good upbringing. Because in that era, you were supposed to be almost cruel to your children. They were fucking. It was like being in a maximum security prison. It was a spare the rod, spoil the child based fucking thinking. And they were Germans, right, or Austrians, which is this, or were they from Vienna or something?
Yeah,
So yeah.
Well, I think they were originally Germans, but I think they moved to Vienna because that's where the music shit was happening.
Yeah, they would all have domineering, fucking highly disciplinarian style dads. You know, that was just the mentality of the time. And he may have been an outlier too, in that.
I mean, perhaps so. I mean, the only reason we hear about him is because Mozart was so famous.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there was a lot of stuff. But like I said, it seemed like Mozart and his sister were genetically gifted for sure. Like their dad was a music teacher.
Yeah.
Like, so he taught them from an early age, from when they were babies. He was
probably good too, though.
But you know, he never really, like, he was kind of famous in his own right. I think he made a living as a composer, but he wasn't, like, he never got to the heights as Mozart, like, later did, like, as his son later did. But, you know, it was kind of like a nature-nurture kind of thing. I mean, obviously, Mozart and his sister were, like, hugely, hugely gifted from childhood, but the fact that they had a father that nurtured that, like, was probably, like, a huge help.
Well, that was also the family business.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Kind of like the Jackson family. With the dad of the Jackson family,
right,
his family was a business. Keeping them out there singing. Yeah.
Phantom says, going back to Abigail, the father in this film, I've never seen in any film. Yeah, I didn't recognize him either. I liked him. He's only in like one scene. He's a complete random actor. He's like, in my opinion, Guy Pearce should have played the role of Abigail's father. Wouldn't that have been rad if like Guy Pearce had showed up? Like, I like the guy that they got, but like I said, he was only in one scene, and I think he did a good job. But like, yeah, that would have been really funny if they'd had like some stunt casting, and it was just kind of some like really famous.
Camp guy said that fucking Mozart was the David Lee Roth of his day, and I'd have to agree. Mm-hmm. Yeah, David Lee Roth, he was a great performer, man, and those fucking early albums were fucking great. But then you lose all respect for him when you hear him fucking talk. And just the shit that he talked. That motherfucker was annoying. Super, super annoying. And I wouldn't say a likable guy, really. I mean, he was friendly. It's just that everything is just over fucking done, man. Just go look at a David Lee Roth fucking interview. You know, even a modern one. Now, he ended up becoming, a lot of people don't realize it, but fucking after his fucking solo career fell apart, David Lee Roth worked as a paramedic for a long time. And evidently he was a great paramedic. But man, that motherfucker is something else. Okay. Tammy's talking about, just saw a good movie with Guy Pearce called The Convert. We haven't seen that one yet, but we'll keep it in mind. She said that Guy Pearce is also great in Lawless. Yeah. Okay. Do you want me to go down and start getting some food ready?
I reckon so.
You didn't get that much to eat today.
I did not.
Yeah.
Tom was gone all day. He was at Sam's and at Lowe's and running errands.
Ran all over the fucking...
Run all over the city today. You got a lot of stuff at Sam's, though. Yeah. So that was good. And got some new stuff from Lowe's to fix the downstairs bathroom. So yeah. Ooh. All kind of stuff happened there. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up for this evening. Like I said, Abigail, if you have Amazon Prime, it's on there. You can watch it for free, and I would recommend it. It's super fun. I kind of wish I'd seen it in the theater, but oh well, because it seemed like it'd be a good time, like seeing it with the crowd and stuff. But oh well, what are you gonna do? But yeah, I would definitely recommend it. So be sure to come back. I'm gonna post a video tomorrow, a review of Strange Darling, the horror thriller from this year, kind of. And then on Wednesday night, we're going to do a show about Frank Lloyd Wright and the massacre at his house there in Wisconsin. What is it called? Taliesin. His house in Wisconsin. So, yeah, so there was a mass murder there that happened in 1914, and we're going to be talking about that, which is a fascinating case. So, yeah, hopefully you guys can join us for that. Thank you very much for dropping by and hanging out with us this evening. We will see you guys again on Wednesday night. Good night.